Now, it is my belief that every young professional can be empowered to take hold of and master their own life, career, and finances to achieve their goals. In my last 3 keys of personal finance videos, I discussed setting your priorities, the basics of planning your finances via budgeting, and the benefits of debt management. Today, I will be covering the final key of personal finance, saving and investing. So let's get started. Colleagues, welcome back. So to start with this video, when saving for life goals, retirement, and other large purchases, a financially informed and targeted approach can make all the difference. As such, we will go over my take on the general order of operations for saving and investing. First, it is prudent to save an emergency fund, which should be influenced by your typical spending. Second, you should utilize built-in allocations and saving targets within your budget for large and more substantial recurring or future purchases. Third, you should invest with the aim to maintain your lifestyle, achieve your future goals, and retain the benefits of your career and job labor. Now, the reason for each of these is for security, practicality, and consistent progress within your financial journey. Note that these should be viewed as an intellectual framework which simply guide the order to which you should think about approaching saving and investing.
Light bulb.
Now, that does not preclude them from actively being done simultaneously, but they should be thought of and prioritized in a linear fashion. Basically, each of these can be done all at once, depending on where you are at in your personal finance journey, but I will have to address that towards the end of this video or in a separate video. So let's start with the first part, which is an emergency fund. To me, the main reasons for an emergency fund is safety. The standard and most widely recommended is the 3 to 6 month emergency fund. And this level of emergency funds are, well, as stated in the name, for an emergency situation, such as a job loss, a car issue, or a medical event that would become a significant financial burden. Thus, an emergency fund allows you a store of safety and security that provides you peace of mind as you move throughout your day-to-day life. However, in order for this store of safety to fulfill its intended purpose, the fund must first fulfill 2 main requirements. First, it needs to be liquid or easily accessible. But also, number 2, the fund can only be accessed in urgent cases where quick action is required, i.e. a real emergency. And thus, an impromptu shopping spree around the holidays is not an emergency. So it is likely a no to the PS5 that just came out if it would impact your 3-month emergency funds. Another reason is an emergency fund helps to reduce the individual's reliance on debt when unforeseen situations arise. This allows the individual the freedom and the choice to not rely on credit or debt use to fund or address financially challenging circumstances. The final reason is what I alluded to earlier, the safety and peace of mind provided, which has a secondary benefit that the safety and decreased financial stress opens the individual up to more opportunities that align with their main goals. For instance, if you would like to learn a new language for an area that you would like to live in the future, if you would just simply like to volunteer your time in the community, or even if you wanted to explore your hobbies and interests with the aim to one day monetize them for a future business, those are all possibilities that the safety and security of an emergency fund allows you to explore, as it affords you the mental freedom to engage in new opportunities and make the most of them. Now, in my opinion, there are different levels of emergency funds, depending on your situation and circumstances, as well as your personal proclivities. I mentioned earlier that the standard is the 3 to 6 month emergency fund, but 3 to 6 months of funds don't really just appear out of nowhere and can take a considerable amount of time to produce. As such, since this is the case, getting started with achievable steps is key. Thus, a good first step is to get 1 paycheck or 1 month ahead on your bills and expenses. This can be a very achievable goal if you take action with cash flow planning and budgeting, as this allows you the breathing room to make progress and reduce potential stress. Another step is to sell so much stuff that the kids think they're next to have a modest $1,000 emergency fund. This was popularized by Dave Ramsey. Sorry to all my childless colleagues out there.
You don't love me!
But basically, you sell the things that you're not really using to get $1,000 and you save it away. This $1,000 could be a prudent and achievable next step in your savings goals. However, ultimately, the 3 to 6 month fund should be your goal and target. Now, for the question of 3 versus 6 months as a target for your saving, that will differ based on your comfort level in relation to the amount of financial obligations and current spending you have. Thus, focusing on 3 months, as an example, if you know you typically spend $3,000 on bills, rent, as well as flexible expenses such as groceries, healthcare, and transportation, your 3-month emergency fund target should be around $9,000. If you spend more like $6,000 per month on the items just mentioned, then your target for 3-month emergency fund would be $18,000. Thus, the more you typically spend, the larger your emergency fund target will be. Now, after establishing the security of your emergency fund, the next step is to have allocated savings within your budget for substantial and recurring or future purchases. This will be key to keep you on track with your financial goals, and in some ways, forces you to set realistic expectations. As a result, these allocated savings will help you be more practical with your savings and any of your plans that you wish to achieve in the future. This is because the conflict between limited funds, mainly referring to your income, and the strong desire to make multiple large purchases on items that are outside your normal budget can become an issue, as this tug of war between what you want to buy and what you ultimately have to spend can cause a real dilemma or financial strain leading to debt accumulation. However, hard numbers can typically cut through some of the ambiguity and help you solve this problem. For instance, let's say you have an extra $500 every month to spend on things that you really need or would make your life fulfilling. For instance, let's say someday soon you would like to buy a 72-inch TV that's around $800. Also, you would like to buy an LV bag, which is around $2,000. You are also really interested in home fitness, and a home mirror workout system would be perfect for you, which is around $1,500. And lastly, you actually had some recent water damage and you need a few months to replace your home roof, which would be around $1,500. With all these purchases, your $500 should not cover each of them immediately. Thus, you will have to decide on which items will get the extra funds and work that into your budget in a practical fashion. And finally, investing, which I describe as the aim for the maintenance of your lifestyle goals and the retention of the benefits of your past labor for the future. Now, why do I describe it that way, as it's kind of a mouthful? Well, the answer to that stems from the question, why even bother investing when you can just save? Put money in a bank account for the future. That's simple enough. Why invest? The answer has two factors: more money, which is kind of obvious, and inflation. Now, most everybody wants more money, or more resources. So it's easier to understand that people invest because they want to increase their personal freedom and the sense of security that having more money and resources affords them the ability to acquire the things that they want in life. However, there's also inflation to consider, and inflation's ability to negatively affect the cost of things over time. Now, inflation causes prices of goods and services to rise over time. Thus, if you were simply saving, basically putting money in a bank account, over time, the money you saved would be worth far less in the future than it was worth when you initially saved it.
Oh, okay, I mean, I sort of get what you're saying, but it's also confusing. And really, Hartman, I don't see how it affects me at all. If I had more money, none of this would have happened. Hartman? 1955? Wow, what are we doing here? Oh, a little bit of shopping. Here, hold this. Gallon of gas, 23 cents. Postage stamp, 3 cents. Ounce of gold, $35. Hot baby. Priceless. Best be getting back.
Hey, Hartman! I need my car, man!
Oh, was that my gold, Jake? Yeah, he'll be fine.
As a result of these conflicting realities, needing to save for the future, and the slow creep of inflation, investing over saving is becoming more of a necessity to ensure consistent financial progress on what you earn. This is because in the before time, in the long ago, the days when everyone worked the same job for 30 years and then retired to a nice fat pension are basically gone. As a result, for the average young professional, investing is not so much a helpful tool, but is one of the only ways one can confidently retire and maintain some semblance of their lifestyle in the future. How this works is due to many factors, but one of the key factors is what Albert Einstein called the greatest mathematical discovery of all time: compounding. Investing relies on the power of compounding, often called compound interest, as it transforms your invested money into a highly powerful income-generating tool. Now, I have talked in many videos about debt compound interest, robbing you and working against you, as the interest accumulated on the debt will cost you more money over time. But with investing, the interest is actually working for you by making your money work. So, how? Let's take an example where you saved an extra $1,000 and wanted to invest it. And with this $1,000, you would make informed investment decisions to earn 10% each year for the next 5 years. Now, 10% of $1,000 is $100. So in the first year, you would expect to earn $100. That's pretty good, as you really didn't do anything other than just invest $1,000. The next year, you would now have $1,100 invested. which would also earn 10%. Thus, after that year, it would put your total at $1,210. Thus, your investment increased $110 in year 2. Note that you had an extra $10 in the second year versus what you had in the first year. That extra $10 was from the $100 that your money made for you. If you fast forward 500 years, the original $1,000, returning 10% each year, would give you $1,610.51. Over 5 years, that is $610.51 you gained in interest by simply investing, and $110.51 on the interest that your money gained from your initial investment. Now, $610.51 over 5 years may seem pretty small to many of you, and likely most of you would be right. But if you were to scale that $1,000 up to the average of $100,000, earning 10% for 5 years, after 5 years, that total equals roughly $161,000, with an extra $61,000 gained over 5 years. And now that's something that's far more substantial. In fact, if you let the investment go for 10 years at 10% compound interest, the result is a total amount of nearly $260,000, over double the original amount that you initially invested. If you keep going at this rate for 20 years, your original $100,000 has gone up more than 6 times to equal around $675,000. This is the power of compound interest.
Yeah, boy.
Making your money make money for you. Now, there is much more about investing that I will be going into, which expand on the basic principles and keys of personal finance mentioned here. So I'll be wrapping up this video series with an overview and then taking a deeper dive into investing basics in later videos. So I hope you gained something useful from this series, and by sticking around to the end, there are links to references in the description below for each of the items discussed. But that will do it for this video. Please share this video with anyone you think it might help, and subscribe for more videos that keep you on track with your personal finance journey. I wish you the best on your own journeys. Have a great rest of your day. Later, colleagues.